welcome to Gulfstream Park, December 6th, 2014. It is Claiming Crown Day and opening day at Gulfstream. Christina Bosanak is here. I escaped the north, the cold of the north. I came to the sunny climes of the south. Ron Nicoletti, our main man here. Ron, opening day, a beautiful weather.
I'm so excited. We have a beautiful, beautiful day. As you mentioned, we got a fast main track, firm turf course. And if you get a chance and you're on the upper floors, just look at the turf course. It is in such fantastic shape. And what a great way to start the season with the Claiming Crown. 142 horses on the card, 110 horses entered in the Claiming Crown today. So you're going to have your handicapping hats tied on tight. We're going to try and help you a little bit, but it is going to be a fun day. And of course, a little later on, we'll tell you about the Rainbow Six. And if you remember, somebody hit it last year for $6 million. But that's what we'll tell you as we move through the day.
Today we have just such a competitive card. And Ron, you and I have been talking about this for days, handicapping these races. In some cases, I landed on 2, 3, 4 horses that all have legitimate chances to win. So we do have a loaded 10-race card for opening day at Gulfstream Park for the championship meet. We're going to get right into it because we've got a lot of ground to cover. And Ron, we kick off with the first race on the card. It is an allowance, a 1.16 miles on the turf course. And Ron, we do have a couple of scratches in there. Now, right now, we're seeing even money number 2, and that's Castinia. I actually went in another direction, and I went with number 12, Cash Forever. But you went with Castinia.
Yeah, I went with Castinia, and the scratches are the 15 and 16 in here, both also eligible. And I'll tell you why I like Castinia. This one is stretching out to 1.16 miles today after a 2-race win streak ended when she stepped up the competition last time out. But she finished a willing second against entry-level allowance runners going a mile. It was on the Keeneland turf course. Trainer Todd Pletcher, our perennial leading trainer here, has Irad Ortiz Jr. in the saddle today. It's a daughter of Giants Corsme. Lots to like about this horse.
Yeah, and Castinia, I think she really stands out in terms of her figures on paper, and it doesn't hurt that she has a trainer in Todd Pletcher, 11 training championship titles here at Gulfstream Park, looking for number 12, which would tie him for the training titles here at Gulfstream Park. And again, I went with number 12. Now, I'm not totally thrilled with Cash Forever's post position, a little bit wide. Her sire is Teofilo, and this is a stallion that maybe many of you would not be particularly familiar with, at least on this side of the Atlantic, but it's a very big pedigree in Europe. And I look at her last 2 races. Again, her figures, I think, are comparable to some of these horses. She'll need to step up a notch, but she is coming out of a competitive race, the Pebbles, and I thought she ran a really good race back on October 13th at Belmont Park. So that is the direction that I'm going in that race.
Well, I have it on the ticket too. I have it in the second spot. The other horse I used to close out the try was the 10 Worker Bee, making her local return after knocking on the door. 3 straight races, turf races across town at Gulfstream Park West. Edgar Zayas, leading rider over there, will be up today. So we're basically in agreement with our top 2 selections in there, and that's where the exacta box comes into play.
Yeah, the only horse I'm going to throw into my exotics is a number 14, Evidently. I just have a feeling about this filly. I really like her. 45 to 1.
That's what we like.
Yeah, that's what we're going to use this one in our exotics. At least I am. That race number 2 is a maiden special weight, and guys, this is the stuff that I love. It's the baby races. 2-year-olds about to turn 3. It is a 1.16 miles on the turf course, and it is for colts. And Ron, another really competitive race in this one. Now we know Todd Pletcher's going to take money in there. He's got 2 horses in there. I actually decided to go in another direction, and I see that you did as well. I like number 3, and that's Novak from the Ralph Nix barn. Corey Lannery gets aboard, and Corey Lannery is fresh off a championship season himself. He won the Churchill riding title, Churchill Downs, just the other month. He missed at Keeneland just by one victory. So he's been a man on fire in Kentucky. We'll see if he can translate that form here at Gulfstream Park. And also, this colt has nice breeding. He is by Sky Mesa. I think that's okay on the turf. He did make his debut on the dirt, and he's also a half to a very nice horse, Sweet 17. Again, a stakes winner on the dirt. So a little bit of a leap of faith with the dirt to turf angle.
Well, let me give you the scratches first, and then I'll tell you who I like on the top, the number 9 Red Guard. But the scratch to 5, 12, and 15 in our second race. On the firm turf course, Red Guard, a half to a $994,000 plus earner. A horse called Summerfront actually won the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale here, stretching out to a mile in the 16th. Rallied 5 wide to finish second. That was going a mile. It was a yielding turf course at Belmont Park. Shug McGahee, Jose Lescano. Over the years, one of the greatest turf riders at Gulfstream Park has been Jose Lescano. So number 9, Red Guard on top of my ticket. Number 3, Novak, for all the reasons you mentioned. And then number 11, Call Me Crazy from the Cathy Ritvo bond, has run second. This is a $220,000 gelded son of Lemon Drop Kid.
You know, we did mention at the top, I mentioned trainer Todd Pletcher. He does have a couple in here. Number 6, Confidant. This is a colt by Street Boss. I love the Street Bosses on the turf. So this colt will be making his debut, not only his career debut, but also his debut on the turf. He also has number 13, and that is a Fight to Quality. Fight to Quality is a horse that I used in my exotic wagers. He's a colt by Speightstown. Speightstown, he's okay with his runners on the turf. I think it'll just be an issue of this horse routing, but again, Todd Pletcher, he usually has them ready to run.
Well, the first of the Breeders' Cup. See, I'm thinking claiming crown race.
It is like the Breeders' Cup.
Feels like the Breeders' Cup day. It's the third race, and it's the Iron Horse, right?
Yeah, the Iron Horse, which is a mile and a 16th on the main track. And again, this is one of those races, very competitive, Ron. Like, you know, there were a couple of ways that I could have gone in here. A lot of the steam, a lot of the talk has been around number 7, and that's JB's Unk. And of course, a horse that you cannot disregard in this spot. I decided to go with another Jersey connection. George Navarro trains JB's Unk, but number 7, Feisty Albert, trained by Claudio Gonzalez. And a lot of people, he's known in New Jersey at Monmouth Park. He's the kind of guy that when he's got them ready, they can jump up and they can win. And Ron, I think this horse, this gelding's going to have a good stalking position in here, but I do think that the horse to beat is going to be JB's Unk.
Yeah, JB's Unk is stretching out just a tad after returning from a 10-week freshening. He got beat only a nose. It was going a mile and 7 yards across down at Gulfstream Park West. You mentioned the trainer Jorge Navarro, or George Navarro. He's 32% with horses making his second start after a 45 to 180-day layoff. Paco Lopez in the saddle. Feisty Albert making its local debut. Posting speed figures good enough to beat this level of competition. But just one of the races in the first of the claiming crown that is not as easy as it might look on paper. The other horse I threw in was the 4 Francois.
Yeah, I think actually Francois, he's a 5-year-old gelding by Smarty Jones. That last effort was pretty good. His numbers came back pretty good as well. Also, Corey Lannery, he gets aboard Francois. And we move on to the 4th race on the card, and this is the Express. This is for the speedballs of the racing world. 6 furlongs on the main track, and here's another race. This is one of those races where I can make a case. If you decide that you're going to not throw out Rebo Bobo, but if you're not going to go with Rebo Bobo, there are several ways to go.
Yeah, and you got a video of someone in this race, don't you, that you want to show?
I do have a video, and actually I was out at the barns earlier this week, and I had a chance to catch up with Marcus Vitale. He has a runner in here, number 6, and that's a Blings Express, and we'll get a look at what Marcus had to say. Well, I will tell you what Marcus had to say. How about that? So Marcus, but basically we're talking about Blings Express, and he said that he's been playing catch-up a little bit with this horse. He was trying to get him in a spot. He couldn't really find a spot for him. He was ready to run. He's got him primed for this particular race, and he thinks that he's going to run a very, very good race. We have to point out Orlando Boca Chica gets aboard for Marcus, and as you know, Ron, at Monmouth Park especially, over the summer, Marcus and Orlando, they've been connecting at an incredible rate. And they also actually first grade 1. They both scored their first grade 1 together with Lochte.
Well, they came down to South Florida and went right over to Gulfstream Park West and just kept winning right there. So the horse that we're going to talk about, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the 3 Rebo Bobo. This one is the defending champ, a fan favorite here, returns. It didn't show too much last time out, but that was in the grade 1 Cigar Mile, and the winner of that race was Private Zone, who went after winning the Vosburg, went right back and won the Cigar Mile. So trainer Jason Service has regular rider Paco Lopez atop this 7-time local winner, 18 previous races here, 7 wins. You got to have Rebo Bobo somewhere on your ticket.
And Rebo Bobo, in fairness, if he runs his best race, he fires his best shot, he should lay over this field. Now, he has not necessarily been the same horse in his last couple of starts, including his latest. Although we can forgive that latest start, Jason Service did say that the horse pulled a gluteal muscle in that race. He didn't show his best. However, he took his time bringing him back. He's been pointing him for this race, so we think that he's going to run a much better effort here today. And we're going to just take a short break, and we're going to come back with the 5th race on the card, which is the Tiara Stakes. And Ron, it also kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. We're back at Gulfstream Park, and we're going to have a look at the 5th race on the card. And Ron, again, another really nice and competitive heat. We'd have the Tiara Stakes. It is a 1.16 miles on the turf course, and as you figured, it is for the ladies. And Ron, we do have a horse in there, a couple of horses that I think that are really meant, they're very well meant in here. Interestingly enough, you and I went in the same direction. We thought we were being very clever.
Yeah, we're being very clever, and we went with Done One. But I want to go back and show you a race from from Aqueduct on November 5th, and it is Flamingo Lane, and this horse has been very good in here. We're going to take a look back, and this horse shows really strong. You see Flamingo Lane in there, the number 8 horse that day, comes flying at the end and just gets beat a nose on the wire. I just thought it was a fantastic performance. We both went with Done One on the ticket, but I just think that this horse deserves to be somewhere in the ticket, just game as can be, comes up, and that is the number 8 horse that day, Flamingo Lane. Today will be the number 4. There you see, look, going to get it. Nope, just doesn't get it. This one, a consistent 9 races a year, 5 wins, 3 seconds, and 1 to 3rd, and it's from the Abigail Atsit barn, and I just think you got to have that one on the ticket. But we do both have number 7, Done One, and pray tell, why do you have it on top of your ticket?
Well, I like this filly. I like her tactics. I think she's going to be coming from off the pace, and I think that's a pretty good position to be in here. She does like Gulfstream Park. I think that's another very good, that bodes well for her here. In her last race, it was at Gulfstream Park West. Ron, she was 3rd. The number didn't come back so great. I thought it was a very even effort. I think if she runs back to some of her earlier races, I think she's going to be really tough. Now, she hasn't really done anything all that, shocking or nothing that really particularly stands out in the mornings, but I really, really think that this is going to be one to watch in here.
Yeah, I mean, Done One, if you look who she was 3rd to last time out, it was Daring Cathy, and Daring Cathy, nobody was beating Daring Cathy that day, and Daring Cathy comes right back and wins the Grade 3. My Charmer with a fantastic performance, goes to the front. We're not going to get caught, so this one certainly looks good, running 3rd behind, as I mentioned, Daring Cathy. So number 7, Done One, right on top of my ticket. Lots of speed in this race. Just looks like this horse is going to sit the trip. Went with the 6-2 in there, Wild Suava. This one undefeated in 2 previous races on the Gulfstream turf, stretching out to one of her most accomplished distance. 5 races, 4 wins and a second. Fresh offer, 7.5 furlong, $25,000 optional claiming score. That was on a yielding turf course. It was at Indiana Ground, but Mike Maker, the trainer, Irod Ortiz atop this horse for course type. Never beaten on this turf course yet, so threw the 6 on my ticket for that reason.
I threw number 3, Tippy Tap, on there, and a 5-year-old mare trained by David Fox, a very well-known horseman down here in southern Florida. Corey Lannery gets aboard. They're 50% actually when they connect on the turf, so it bodes well for them. And I actually threw this 5-year-old mare on my ticket as well. I
wanted to mention again the Rainbow Six. This is where it starts, and what a fun time we had with the Rainbow Six across town at Gulfstream Park West. The final day, there was so much money in the pool. They bet over $1 million. It's only a 20 50-cent wager. Well, now we can go to the 6th race. And I want to get everybody fired up about that.
I was going to say
Rainbow
the Rainbow Six, I think you're probably going to have to use a few. You're going to have to spread a little bit in that race. And from my opinion, I think you're going to have to use a few because that's a really competitive heat. We do move on to the 6th race on the card, which is the 1-mile glass slipper. It is for fillies and mares. And again, Ron, we do have one scratch in there. That's number 4, Useful Berry. And my top selection in there, I went in a little bit of a different direction. I tried to take a shot. Of course, Courtney Ryan's going to be the horse to beat in there. I went with number 14, and that's Rebecca's Surprise from the Kelly Breen barn. I just like her. Now, I don't love the post, 14, but I think she's going to be showing speed from there. She gets a good break. I think that she could make it. She's got a pretty good, solid run to that turn as well, Ron.
Well, I think you got a video that you wanted to show the folks.
And the video we're going to be showing is actually of Courtney Ryan, and Courtney Ryan, the Wind Machine, here in southern Florida. And I caught up with her trainer, Tamara Levy, earlier this week.
I never really have felt like 2 turns was her best distance, or a mile and 16th, but last year she hooked up right out of the gate, and she was really fit and really ready to run that race, and it just was a battle all the way to the wire, and she didn't prevail there. So I think the mile is much more suited for her.
And that was Tamara Levy. She is talking about Courtney Ryan, and just such a professional mare, Courtney Ryan. And as Tamara was saying, the 1-mile distance, better than a mile and 16th. The flat mile is really this filly's game. She was talking about her race last year in here in the Claiming Crown in the Iron Lady, but she's really hard to look past in this race.
Yeah, I just didn't know what to do with that outside 13 post, and you went with the 14, your top pick. I went with the number 3, Best Behavior. 6 for 7 in the money on the Gulfstream Park main track, albeit not at this 1-mile distance. Stretches out after returning from a layoff to finish a second. It was in the 6 furlong Sky Beauty. Here's what I like about this horse. Trainer Marty Wolfson, they reached in and grabbed this horse for $62,500 on August 29th. He is 27% with horses stretching out in distance, and I'm thinking they claimed this horse for this spot right here. And anytime Marty Wilson has a horse in one of these type races, you got to look. They reached in and they grabbed the 3, Best Behavior, so I put it on top of my ticket. Got the 13, Courtney Ryan. Loves this track on my ticket, and I also used the 8, Claiming Victory.
Best Behavior, I used her on my ticket as well, and that filly that she finished behind last time, Mary Meadow, just such a nice horse in her own right. And also, she's got a lot of speed. The speed is to her outside. I think she's probably going to get first run in here, and I think she's faster than those the other speed types in there. So hopefully she'll be getting to the front, and she won't. Rebecca's Surprise won't be far. She'll be able to work her way over, and by the time she gets to that turn. We are going to move on now to the 7th race on the card, which is the Canterbury. It is 5 furlongs over the turf course, and Ron, tons of speed to kick off this pick 4. There's a lot of speed in here, so many different ways to go. I went with number 13, and that was Mongol Bull. I tried to take a little bit of a shot with this horse. He is a closer coming from off the pace. You look at that last start, he was second behind a horse named No Nay Never. No Nay Never, such a brilliant run at the Breeders' Cup. He's a horse trained by Wesley Ward, and Coolmore owns that colt now, and just such a nice type. So for me, that moved him way, way up. He ran a big race behind a nice horse at Keeneland, and again, I'm hoping that he'll have a bit of, it looks like he's going to have pace to run into.
We got a couple of scratches in there, the 11 and the 15, and I know you had a video you wanted to show in this race.
Yeah, we are going to take a look at, I actually went out again, as I mentioned, I had gone down to Gulfstream Park West earlier in the week, and I had a chance to catch up with Darren DeLucia. Darren DeLucia, the advisor for White Wabbit Racing.
What?
You're such a funny man. And these connections we got very well to know, not only here in Florida, but also at Monmouth Park, leading connections there, among the leading connections here. And they have Didn't Take It in there, and we can have a look at what Darren had to say about Didn't Take It in this race.
Didn't Take His best distance as 5 furlongs. We claimed him for $20,000, early in the meet at Gulfstream. He's earned us somewhere around over $100,000. He ran in a stake here during the Gulfstream Park West meet. Very unlucky, should have won the race. We're going to come right back in here, and that's my really favorite horse in the barn.
And that was Darren DeLucia, an advisor to White Wabbit Racing. And again, Ron, you got to see these connections do really, really well down here in Florida, as well as
they were in the battle for the leading owner title throughout the meet, and they ended up in the tie with Frank Carl Calabrese. So it was exciting last week. Everybody was trying to win the title, and it was fun. One would win, the other one would match it, and going back and forth. I went with the 3 in here, Mr. Online. This one is a multiple graded stakes place performer on this turf course. Previous winner at this 5-furlong distance, makes its first start since facing Grade 2 competition. That was on the Woodbine turf during the summer. The trainer is Mike Pino. He's pretty good with the 61 to 180 day layoff. And what I like about this horse, Christina, he's been training consistently here since October. So used to the local, temperature and conditions here. Even though I'm working on the main track, going to go to the turf, I just think Mr. 3, Mr. Online, sitting on a big performance in here. Got your 13 Mongo Bull on my ticket. Was not enamored with the post.
Yeah, not a great post, but Mr. Online, he is really the class of the field in here, and he will be assuming a stalking position here. Won the El Prado last, as you were just talking about, this horse. He's a horse that we've seen many times down here, and really, he's the quality of the race. If he runs his best race, regardless of the fact that he's coming off a layoff, he should be the one to beat.
I got a 20 to 1 shot on my ticket.
Oh, who is it? Well,
and
now
that's
you got to share.
Terminato, and I'll tell you why. This one breaks from the rail again after encountering traffic at the 3/8 pole and finishing 6th, but it was only beaten 1.5 lengths. That was in the 5-furlong Gin Rummy champ, trainer Aubrey Mirage, Jose Lescano. I think this horse with a clean trip, the inside, which is too early to know how the turf course is going to be playing. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it looks fantastic. It looks like a blanket out there. So we'll see number 1, Determinado, 20 to 1. I don't know if that's what we'll get when the smoke clears, but Jose Lescano, 20 to 1 on inside speed, going 5 furlongs, or inside tactical speed. I think you got to have it on your ticket.
Yeah, and that's another White Wabbit Racing horse, right? Yeah, just different trainer. So again, that might be a big day for those connections here on Claiming Crown Day. We move on to the 8th race on the card, which is the Rapid Transit, 7 furlongs on the main track. And Ron, I'll let you get to the scratches. My top selection, number 1, Palatine Hill.
Well, the scratch in here is the 15 past the coffee, but I want to show you a race, and it goes back, and it was on November 16th, and it was the Kenny No Jr. Handicap, and this horse that I love, he's a hard-knocking campaigner, likes to finish second, that might be his only thing, but he splits horses, and he runs really good against a very special horse. We'll show you that right now. You'll see here, this is a Grand Shores, as I mentioned. He's going to come up, going to split horses. The horse that he was alluding to was Speechify. Speechify, wins this Kenny No Jr. That horse is going to be seen throughout the air. He is one special horse. And Grand Shores, I just thought, it was a game performance. He split those horses. Nobody was beating Speechify that day. So off that performance, I had to put the 11 Grand Shores on your ticket. And as we mentioned, these are the multiple races that we're using for the Rainbow 6, the late pick 5, the late pick 4. I think you got to have this horse on your ticket somewhere, because going down now to the claiming ranks after being in that stake race against one of the top horses in the country, I think Grand Shores will look good in there. You did go with the number 1 on top of your ticket in here.
I went with Palatine Hill. I did use Grand Shores, however, I did go in the direction of Palatine Hill. I had a chance. We had our girl Katie Stazak. She spoke to Peter Walder. We saw that a little bit earlier. I had a chance to talk to him as well a little bit earlier this week. He was telling me he's not thrilled really with the post position coming out of the 1, although the horse hasn't raced since September 18th. He was given plenty of time. He was just given all that time off. He's a very tough campaigner. He gives 150% every time he runs. So Peter decided to just back off on him and point him for this race. I love it when the trainers, they zero in on something and they point them for a particular race. And I think if this horse, he runs back to his best form, I think he's going to be very, very hard to beat. But again, that's a race that you'll use a few horses.
Yeah, well, the horse I used on top is the 4 Good Time Had by All, returned from a similar layoff last year. And what did he do? Won this race. So he's a defending champ. You look at his first start. See, he had nearly trouble in his last race. He stumbled at the start. He finished 6th. It was a $62,000 optional claimer up at Belmont on September 18th. Did this last year, coming back down. The trainer, George Navarro, Paco Lopez, guiding the defending champion here today. So I had the 4 on there. But as you mentioned, can go deep. I also used the 7 Stall Walk and do the 5-time winner this year.
And moving on to the 9th race on the card, which is the Emerald Stakes, and it's a mile and a 16th on the turf course, and a couple of scratches, number 8, Midnight Notes, and number 14, Grand Rapport. Those two are out, and I went with number 7, El Jefe Grande. And coming into this off of 3 consecutive victories, loves Gulfstream Park. He's very good at this distance, and I think that he's going to be the one to beat. Corey Lannery gets aboard.
And there's a lot of speed in this race, too, and I think that El Jefe Grande, the reason I put it on top for all the reasons she mentioned also is because I think this one is going to sit the catbird seat right behind the speed. I used the inside horse, Sailor's Creek, 1 of 4 entered in the race today by Mike Maker, 1 of 3 owned by Kenneth Sarah Ramsey. 9 for 9 in the money this year, 9 races, 5 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, never beaten on the Gulfstream Park turf, 2 races on this turf course, 2 wins. Has the rail, the speed, but there's a lot of speed in here. Thus, I gave the little bit of an edge to the number 7, El Jefe Grande.
You know, there's another horse I used in there, number 6, Rose Briar, and this is a gelding that I'm fond of. He had 3 consecutive victories, including one at Monmouth Park when I saw him. 3rd last time, but he's really good. Don't count him out. I spoke to Jane Sabelli earlier in the year. This is the kind of horse, he doesn't like it hot. And we got through a beautiful summer at Monmouth Park, so he should be primed and ready to run, and I think he's going to be a horse that you're going to want to watch in that spot. And we move on
to the big one.
To the Jewel. The aptly named Jewel, which is a 9 furlongs. It's a mile and an 1/8 on the main track. And Ron, there doesn't seem to be a lot of speed in the Jewel, at least not that I can see. I think Chero is gonna show some speed in there. It's a little bit unclear maybe who else might be up there. I decided to go with Chero for that reason. Breaking from the rail, again, not loving the fact that he's breaking for the rail, but I think if he gets a clean break and he gets first jump, he's going to be tough to beat, and I think he really fits in here.
I actually like the rail spot when they're going a mile and an 1/8 on this course, so I have him on my ticket for that. This one, I wrote my analysis, if you read it in the program, was the most wide open race on the card for me. Had a tough time with it. I'm going to try and save some of my bullets later on when I'm making my Rainbow Six ticket together. Add more here. I did go with the 5 Origina, and this one is making its local debut at this 9 furlong distance. A win at this distance already. Rallied to finish 2nd. It was against $80,000 optional claimers, going a mile and a 16th. It was on the Keeneland main track. A Mike Maker trainee just gets a tepid nod in here. I got to go deep. I also got to use the 2 Dolly and the 1 Cerro too. I just think that horse might have a tactical advantage. Just got to hope that the horses don't come crossover and, block them in there. But I like the inside post. Not the one too much, but the post going a mile and 1/8 on this course.
With a good break, I think you're absolutely right. And to me, that's the only concern is how he's going to get out of there. You were mentioning Eurigina. I also used this gelding on my ticket, Second Tell Nowie last time. My only concern is he going to have enough pace to run on, to run into. So that was my only thought with him. Number 13, Tarpee's Goal. I also used him. The only question mark, distance.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this plays out. It is one tough card to handicap, and that's what makes it so much fun. As we mentioned, the Claiming Crown, 110 horses. Got a couple of scratches, so maybe it's down to 108, but that doesn't matter. It's still tough races to handicap.
Yeah, it sure is, and that's it for Ron and myself. We will be back for the rest of the day. Stick around, folks. Great card on tap. Claiming Crown Day, opening day here at Gulfstream Park, and our man, Larry Colmus, is going to come on in just a second to give you the changes and scratches for today. Good luck, folks.